y'all. Welcome back to the Young Mind Podcast. I got my birthday buddy, one of my best friends, hell of a hustler, hell of a man, Gabe, Belyew. What's going on, bro?
What it do?
And
I'm happy to be here, bro.
dude, this is technically our second episode. First one was good. This one's
Yeah,
gonna be better,
first
man.
one was great.
It was. We dove deep in some things.
I've cemented myself. I'm a repeat guest now.
Hey, I love you. Gonna be a regular.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. Something we both have in common is we were both managers. You more in retail. I was in food and beverage.
I'm only in retail.
Yeah, you in retail, me in food and beverage, and of course there's differences. How long's it been?
7 years in retail, 5 as a manager.
Okay,
Going on 6.
so there's those 2 years. What were you doing?
Part-time. Started off part-time. Full-time, key holder, assistant manager, store manager. In that order.
How did you get those promotions?
Well, from jumping from that part-time to that full-time spot, all that really is you got to be the best part-timer there is, right?
They don't just bring full timers on.
We do a lot of promoting from within. We do a lot of promoting from within. We do hire outside of, the company for spots when needed, but it's nice to be able to pick somebody that's already on your staff to move up as opposed to a stranger.
Of course, that goes with a lot of business.
Yeah, and it's a guy, as you bring somebody that, you started with, you molded from a part-time position, and you taught them how to do the job the way you want it to be done,
Mm-hmm.
and the way you think is the right way to be done.
And plus, when someone works there for the company, they know the culture too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what we're trying to do, you know what we're trying to accomplish, and you have, that kind of mindset. That's why you probably got promoted.
So, do you have some stories of bringing in a full timer from outside and it not working out?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. We've had it happen a couple of times. I mean, just in the time that I've been a manager, luckily I actually haven't had it happen to me too much as far as turnover goes. But I've seen other managers have like their assistant managers be hired from outside and like quit on them and during the busy times or not last more than a month or two, stuff like that. I mean, it happens. I mean, I'm sure it happens at any job, but like we had a guy we hired at one store, and he interviewed phenomenally, solid. And he was there for like, I want to say a month tops, and then came in one day and was like, yeah, really isn't what I thought it was going to be. Left his keys and walked out right at the beginning of his shift. In the middle of Christmas time, just bolted. Was like, I'm out.
What did he think it was gonna be?
I don't know. I didn't know the guy. That was somebody else that it happened to. So I had just heard of him. I didn't know him. I don't know what he expected. We're pretty clean cut about what we do. We sell shoes.
It seems pretty straightforward to me.
It's pretty simple. We provide customer service. That's what we do.
See, I had a similar situation. I was actually brought into a situation where I was a manager hired from outside. And it was a rough first 2 months because like the managers didn't train me. The managers that worked there all hated their job. They weren't happy.
Yeah.
So like
That's rough too. I've seen that happen where the guy that is supposed to be training or teaching the next guy has checked out.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care as much. I've worked for those guys. I've seen those guys. Like at firsthand, I've seen those guys, and it sucks to work for those guys. It's horrible to work for those guys.
It put me in such a bad situation, like because as a manager, you technically only had a few duties, you things you had to do, and one of them was like cut menus. You got to cut menus for the next day. So they showed me how to do that. And then right after that, he walks me to the dining room, hands me the iPad, says, "All right, this is dinner service. You got it." First day on the job.
Wow, that's wild.
First day on the job, and like he just walks away. So therefore, like the first 2-3 weeks, I'm learning everything I know how to do
on the go as you're doing it.
I'm learning from the servers. So like the servers are literally teaching me everything.
Oh yeah, your employees are teaching you how to do the job.
Awful look.
That's it's a bad spot to be in.
I think before we even get to that, the manager who hired me, he told me I was gonna be the dining room manager. He offered me a low salary. I was like, hey, I want more than that. He goes like, all right, don't tell anybody, but I'm gonna give you this. He was a sleazy guy.
Don't tell anybody.
He's a sleazy guy, so sleazy. But like he brings me on to saying, Austin, you're gonna be a dining room manager. All the servers knew I was a dining room supervisor. And then from there, like, they didn't respect me in that sense already. And then I'm asking them how to do everything. They didn't respect me. So a month into the job, when I finally know how to do things, I had no respect.
Because they taught you how to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had no
Yeah, no, there's definitely a fine line uh between uh like letting somebody learn how to do it as they go and like throwing them to the wolves.
they threw me to the wolves. Everything at that, it was just a bad organization, if I'm being honest. Like,
Sure.
I definitely don't want to cry. I stayed there for a year. I stuck
Mhm.
it out. Plus, when I tried to put my 2 weeks in, he goes like, "We need a 6 week notice."
What? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, so I had to put a 6 week notice in. So I put my 2 weeks in. Then I just went part time because I had to get out of there.
Yeah.
But it was just bad. Like, they kept bringing in outside hires instead of promoting from within. And all the servers are like, "Yo, I've been here for years. Like, I've put my
Oh
work in.
yeah.
The residents love me. You
Mhm.
know I know how to do my. You guys look to me,
Bad look.
but you're not gonna even interview me for the position."
Bad look.
It was toxic.
Yeah, because then those people that want that promotion, they're like, "What am I here for? You're not gonna move me up. Why am I here?
Bad.
If I want to move up and you don't want me to move up, what are we doing?"
Something that pulled me was free food. Being a man, I got everything.
For sure. I used to work at Rib City, and I used to get a free dinner every shift.
That's a huge perk.
That's a plus right there. That's solid. I'm in. I don't
Oh,
even care if it's crap pay. I'm in.
dude, I'm not even gonna disclose names. But my first job, I worked in another retirement home, and man, oh man, like, technically we all got a free dinner, we all got a free lunch, but the people before me gave me some bad habits. Not gonna lie, like, we were
You were stocking up.
literally, I was grocery shopping. And my friend worked there. One of my best friends. No, I'm not no names. My best friends worked there too, and we lived together in the dorm. And when we would work different shifts. Homeboy would come home with gallons of milk. He would take 2 gallons of milk. They had Frosted Flakes in the back. He'd be filling up to go canisters.
Oh
We're
my
college
god.
students, so of
Yeah,
course
for
we're
sure.
riding the wave.
Yeah.
No joke. So my friend got promoted to a cook, so he was back there. So he
Yeah.
got
He
top.
was hands on. He was like, "I got this."
Tell me why this fool came home with a gallon tub of ice cream.
Yeah, y'all hit a lick.
Yeah. Dude, okay, so I worked there from the time I was 16 to 22. Things were good.
You put in some
I
years.
put in some years. I had tenure.
Yeah.
But
You were known.
I kinda left with a bad taste in my mouth. 'Cause, I was known for not being destructive, but being a child. I used to jump over tables, used to, ride the scooters around. I used to do some crazy things just because 'cause I'd been there for a
You
while.
were 16, 17.
Man, no, I was in college sometimes. I was a
Yeah,
little older.
granted.
You get it.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah. But, they had this crown molding. It's about 10 feet high. And I'd proven that I could do it. But listen to this. I'd proven I could do it before. I slightly pulled the crown molding down. But the second time, I pulled a block about 2 feet long down. And yeah, after that, they kind of said, we're not gonna, you're not going anywhere here. Put a sour taste in my mouth.
Probably not gonna promote you because you're just smashing through walls.
Pretty much, yeah. But the GM was like, I don't know how he got up there. I take credit for that.
Kid's got
It
bunnies.
was a big jump. He had to give me a little respect. Had to.
Look, it was irresponsible, but damn, he can jump.
Dude, I did those in some Crocs too. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. What was your first job?
First job, Buffalo Wild Wings
You went to B-Dubs. Were you a server?
for a week,
You get fired?
sort of.
What was you doing?
So okay, so
What you mean, sort of?
so okay, so I got the job because I'm pretty sure I got the job because my uncle knew somebody.
Okay.
Oh, I'm taking no credit for getting myself that job.
You're 16?
I'm 16.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even have a license yet. I'm getting picked up and dropped off, right? And I'm a host. What kind of 6-year-old male is a host?
You were 6?
16.
Oh.
You're right. My bad. What kind of 16-year-old man is a host?
I have a little experience hosting. It can be a difficult job.
Well, okay, so I never even really, got to do the jobs because, so like, the first week you're there is training. So I do training, and they're like, okay, before you can be brought on for like a permanent employee, you got to pass a test. You have to take like a written exam of the menu, which is wild to me. I'm like, never heard nothing like
Oh,
this
you're right.
before.
Oh, I thought they wanted you to write like an essay about Buffalo Wild Wings.
That would be hilarious. No, wanted you to learn like all the sauces and stuff like that. But I never even took that. I never even got to that point because after that first week of training, I left and nobody called me and told me when I was supposed to work next. And so I called them after a few days and I was like, so like when's my next shift? And they were like, you're not scheduled. Okay.
Did you get paid for
And you
that week?
haven't, yeah, I got paid for that 1 week,
That's
like
kind of
100
sleazy of
bucks.
them.
I was only there for like 3 days.
They should have at least called you.
It is what it is. I don't really like that job.
Do you put that on your resume?
No. I'll tell you what, though, after that first week, I was like, man, I probably don't want this job.
Hey, it happened for the best then.
Yeah, for sure. Well, because especially when I got off the phone that day, I went and applied at Champs. And so
I'm telling you, everything happens for a reason.
here you go, 7 years later.
7 years later, man. How many different stores have you worked at?
6. I've been at 6 different stores.
What's you're a pretty personable guy. What's the transition like? How do you usually connect with people when you go to the store and it's your first time?
Well, for one, you probably have a conversation with the guy who ran it before you. Is usually the easiest way to transition in. You want to talk to him, get an idea about the staff.
Do all managers do that though?
No,
It seems
definitely
like the
not.
best thing you should
I mean,
do.
it makes sense. Sometimes, they leave the company in bad taste or whatever the case may be. You might not be able to get a hold of them, whatever. Different reasons, different stuff happens, sure, all the time. But luckily, every time I've taken a store over, I've gotten to speak to the guy before. I've managed 3 different stores at this point, as my own stores. So the biggest thing I try to do is you talk to the guy who's leaving. You get an idea about how many people you have on staff, what their availabilities are like, who your best salespeople are. It's part of the conversation you want to have, and then you just want to get to know everybody yourself. At that point, you're like, okay, I know what this guy thinks. I want to get in here and get hands on, meet everybody. You try to schedule everybody, at least once throughout that first week, so you can meet them, and see how they work in this environment that you're gonna set up now, because everything's gonna be done your way. So you see about possible bad habits that you need to break, or possible good habits that you need to continue, stuff like that. You kind of gotta see what you're working with. You also need to see if you need people right now, if you need to start hiring, or if you need to start getting rid of some people, whatever the case may be. But I mean, the biggest thing is to just go in with an open mind, and just look for however you can to make that next store better.
I think that part of being in management is you gotta like be flexible. I don't think you can go in there
For
with
sure.
I'm gonna do it this way and this way only. I think you kind of gotta adapt to the situation. Do you agree?
Sure, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for us, I mean, like, especially with like COVID-19 and everything that's going on, we're constantly adjusting to what we have to do.
Hmm.
Now I think like from a sales perspective, there's probably there's a way we like to do it
Oh yeah, of
that
course.
works for us. But as far as like everything that's constantly happening around you, absolutely, you have to constantly change what you're doing and be ready to take on new stuff. Stuff doesn't stop. I've noticed that, like, when you're in charge of everything, especially whenever it's a business like that, there's always something. There's never nothing to do. There's always something that's happening next.
Hmm.
So you have to be ready.
Personally, I feel like with management, I feel like you kind of have to want to be a manager because
Absolutely. If you don't want to be a manager, it's not for you.
it's not.
And you're just all you're gonna do is if you don't want to be in that position and you're in that position, all you're gonna do is make yourself look bad, make the people that work for you look bad, and then make the people that promoted you look bad.
It's a big commitment. Being in charge of people
Absolutely.
is you have a lot of responsibility. And I think that if you aren't ready and you're not gonna take it seriously, you're gonna, like you said, make yourself look bad, make the company look bad.
And make the people that work for you look bad. It's just
Exactly.
all bad. It's just a bad look. If you don't want to be there, it's gonna show. If you're not willing to, get grimy and put the work in, it's gonna show.
Hmm. You're right. You're right. See, one of my faults when I was a manager was I was too prone to help them. I would help them too much just because I'd been in that position and I understand how bad it could be, like especially on a busy night. I'm gonna do what I can to help you guys and
For
make your night
sure.
easier. And I think that I kind of did that too much.
Absolutely. I got a similar, vibe. I've been told in some of my earlier stores, like the first 2 I ran, I've been told like, "Hey, you kinda try to do everything yourself."
Yep, same.
Gotta have people that you can rely on to help you because you can't do everything yourself.
That
You
is
can't run a business by yourself. It's impossible.
everyone needs to hear that advice
It's impossible.
because they go like you said, you got to find out which ones you can depend on.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You can't that's the other thing is you can't go in and start delegating before you know who can do what. That's the other thing. I've seen managers just jump in and been like expecting people to know how to do stuff. I'm like, you don't know how they were trained, who trained them. You don't know how long they've been here, how long they haven't. Like, you don't know.
There's skill involved in managing.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you have to know your staff. And my first introduction to management wasn't the best, but when I had that first retirement home job, there was some nights where I got to run the floor, they'd call it, and it was great because I knew everything. Because like you said, I was promoted from within, knew everything, knew the people, could communicate with the residents, the staff, the servers, and I knew what was going on.
When everything goes smoothly, it's beautiful.
It
It
is,
feels good.
and like the energy was great. But then I came into that toxic situation, and it was just I walked into a burning building and people were already unhappy. Management didn't want to be there. They didn't trust the head manager. Servers weren't happy. They weren't getting trained right. They didn't even like I understand that I had experience and everything, but they didn't even tell me how they wanted me to interview. They didn't walk me through the process. And it was just bad. It was just sloppy. And
You could tell.
like
You could tell it was just sloppy from the outside in.
it, looking back, I could have done more. Like I could have pioneered change there, but that would have been a huge commitment. And
For sure.
it would have been a huge commitment. I would have had to like step over people because there were so many times I pitched ideas. I'm like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? It's like, you can do it. No help, no guidance. Just wanted me, just wanted me to do it. They're like, get out of here with it. They wanted things to stay the same, and
Yeah.
it was just bad. It was just a bad vibe, man. Back on the topic of managing slash management, whatever you want to call it. What do you think separates a good manager from a great manager? What are some distinctions that you
That's a
find?
good one. Man, I think great managers really they enjoy what they do.
Mhm.
For one, I think that's a big part of it. And I think another part of it is that they just really believe in the process of what they're doing. Like you can be good at it and not believe in it. Does that make sense? Like you can be good at it and not love it. And
Definitely,
you can
yeah.
definitely be like, all right, I know how to do this and we're gonna do it and we're gonna go home and that's gonna be it. Or you can be like, man, I'm good at this and I have a good time doing this. And I
Mhm.
want to do a good job at this. Those guys usually are better. Those guys that are they're sold. They're in. They buy into the what you're selling.
Like some guys will be good at basketball, but they really don't love it anymore, so they're still playing.
Andrew Wiggins.
I was thinking him, but he seems happy now he's on the
I
Warriors,
hope
so
I hope so.
he seems
Dude's a
much
bucket,
happier.
so
Yeah, when he's they said he was the next LeBron. I
I don't know
know,
that.
because when he went to the
He's a
Cavs,
bucket though.
hey, he can hoop. Definitely not the next LeBron, but he can hoop. But yeah, you're right about that when it comes to managing. I think the great manager I've had, I trusted them. Like that was the biggest
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely.
It was like a embedded trust. Like I believed them, and I knew they had my best interest in mind. Like this is when I was serving, but like if I had a big table or big party, they'd come tell me before I found out. It was just great, and if I acted up, they would. It was just awesome. Like the trust was there, and I think trust is a big thing with any manager.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
How do you build trust with your subordinates?
Man. Um you have to for one I mean a big part of it is building trust and respect at the same time is you can't really ask anybody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Huge.
You got to be really willing and down to be part of the nitty gritty. Like in my case, I'll run and grab 6 shoes if we need it. Whatever I need you guys to do, I'm gonna do it too. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna ask anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. Like if I want you to sweep, I'm gonna sweep this floor too. I'm not gonna make you just like I'm not gonna just give somebody a job I wouldn't do.
Mhm. How often do you do those tasks for them? Like, I know we spoke about this off air, but when it comes to helping, how do you not cross that line to where they expect you to help them all the time?
Right. So there's a difference between helping and coaching, which is something that we talked about. Like it's one thing whenever you have a new employee and they don't really know. Like in our case, whenever we bring a shoe out, we like to pull the shoe out, unlace it, pull the stuffing out, and hand it to the customer. Not just show up, open a box. You know, it's the small things. You got a new guy, he brings out the box, he just sets it down. You walk over, hey. You also, I think a big part of that building trust is you don't correct them and or tell them they're doing something wrong in front of the customer or
Like an
like their other
embarrassment.
employee. Yeah, it's embarrassing, bro. Nobody wants to hear that. That's not a you're not teaching me anything.
Mhm.
You're being a dick. So after that, I'll be like, oh, whenever I bring one over, I'll probably pull the shoe out, and I just explain how I would do it, and I think that's the best way to go about it, as opposed to if every time you go over there and you pull the shoe out for the customer after they set it down, that he's gonna get in the habit of, all right, he's gonna do that every time. So you
Right.
correct them the one time, and then they gotta figure it out. They gotta learn how to do it themselves.
I think one of my flaws when I was in management, I was too patient with them. Like, I would coach them. I'd be like, "Hey, maybe next time you do this, do it like this." They wouldn't do it, and I'd be like, "Come on," like, but I'd be so patient with them instead of like kinda I don't know, like, when do you cross that line and say, "Hey,
Um, you have to set a standard right off the bat. Like you have to have a example,
a bar?"
sort of say, yeah, for sure. You have to have a bar set. Like you can't come in and have different breaking points for each person. It has to be the same, across the board,
Mhm.
because you can't have one guy that repeatedly does something wrong if three other guys are not doing something wrong
It's not fair.
over and over. So why am I being more patient with this guy? Right? So you got to where to draw the line is I think it's whenever they stop being productive and they become an issue. If the time you're here and the time you spend here is less productive than productive, all right.
Like I keep saying, I'm having, like, flashbacks and memories when I was, a manager at that bad place, and it was just I definitely could have done more, and I kinda wish I did, but it was such a toxic environment that
Hindsight's 2020.
it definitely is, but I just felt like it drained my energy. Enough of that.
That's another thing too, is you gotta enjoy the job. You cannot hate your job if you're gonna be in charge of people and the business. You can't hate it because it's just gonna kill you. You're just gonna be like, all right, I gotta get out of here.
You're right.
Whatever gets me out of here at the end of the day fastest. And that's when shit starts hitting the fan. That's whenever people aren't doing their jobs right, stuff's not getting done, things aren't getting updated, whatever the case may be.
You brought up, a very hot topic right now, coaching, and I think coaching is one of the most important aspects of managing. I
Easily.
think that's one way to really build the trust is with proper coaching and, like, really just letting the people know that they can confide in you and that you want them to be the best. You want them to succeed at the job.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, coaching's huge. Is actually probably the most rewarding part of being a manager, I would say. I mean, other than the paycheck. Um uh but no, for real, like just being able to teach somebody something that obviously you're good at, because you shouldn't be in that management position if you can't do that job, right?
Mhm.
If you can't teach somebody how to do that job, how are you the manager? So, you probably were good at that job at some point.
Hey,
So, you're good enough to be able to pass that knowledge on. That feels good, whether it's in management or outside of work. If you're good at something and you can teach somebody that, it feels good.
you're right, you're right. See, my thing with coaching was, like you said, if you're good at it, it just when I was managing, I would always serve to help out the servers. I would always pick up a few tables, and that was fun to me. I'm really good at it, and they're like, "Austin, you're a great server. Like, thanks for showing me this. Thanks for teaching me that." It's like, no problem. Like, that's what I wanna do, but
Yeah, it feels good.
it does. It definitely does. Yeah, I mean, yeah, ma it's wild. Like, managing when something you're really good at and you really enjoy it, it definitely has a different
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, it's I mean, it's all about mindset going into it. Like, if you go in with a negative mindset, the people under you are probably gonna have a negative mindset, and then the people that they're offering customer service to are probably gonna have a negative mindset if it starts at the top.
Customer service is drastically important.
The most important.
Like, I don't think you can stress how important customer service is.
No, it's, I mean, the im it's the whole reason we're here. It's the whole reason, like, we come to the job. It's the one thing we do. And that's from a retail standpoint and from a food standpoint. I mean, the one thing we do is what the people ask us to do. Like, they show up and they want something, we provide that.
You're right. It's an exchange of goods and services. That's what business is.
It's what it is.
Without the customer, where's
There
it?
is no business.
Exactly. So sometimes customers can cross the line.
Absolutely.
Are you with the proponent the customer's always right?
To a degree, yes. I think the reasonable customer is always right. I think within reason the customer is always right. You can't be mad and just expect free things or jump in lines. Whatever the case may be. If it's reasonable, then I mean, the company, whoever is helping should probably do their best to fulfill that reasonable request. I feel like that's not anything outside of your job description. I think when customers become unreasonable and they want you to do stuff that is outside of your job prescription, then no, I don't think you're right. I think you should get out of my
But at
face.
the same time, companies do have guidelines and restrictions that they have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, so like here. Okay, here's one. So I was running my second store at the time, and this guy comes in, and I guess he had called ahead and was like, "Do you guys have these shoes?" It's like, at the time we did, so we're like, "Yeah, we have them, absolutely." He's like, "All right, I'm coming up there to get them," and I'm like, "Okay, just so you know, like we only have one left, and we aren't able to hold them because it's hot product, so it might not be here when you get here if it's gonna be a long time."
Hmm.
He's like, "Oh, it's all good." He hung up. He gets there. Product had been sold by then. That one pair of shoes had been sold by then. And so he was upset. Naturally, I'd probably be a little pissed if I called the store. They had something. I showed up, it was gone. I'd be mad.
But I think that you guys did the right thing by
Gave my man's a head up. I gave him a heads up, right?
exactly.
All right, it might not be here when you get here, right? He's like, "Oh, well, this is bullshit. Blah, 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 blah. That shoe was supposed to be here. I said it was coming out. They said they would hold it for me. No, we didn't. Whatever the case may be, right?" He's arguing. He's
Hmm.
arguing. He's like, "I should be able to pick out any shoe on this wall for my daughter for the same price as that one I came for." All right, Drew, you're just making stuff up at this point. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Unreasonable. Like, no.
I mean, if you guys don't hold shoes, you don't hold shoes.
I mean, it's just like little things like that. I mean, like in most cases, that's probably the most unreasonable thing people ask for. Like it's stuff like that. So, I mean, retrospect, probably don't ask for. It doesn't happen that often, so you don't have to deal with it too badly. But I don't think that customer's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had a similar situation at the retirement home. I keep talking about the retirement homes. That's where really all I worked. But at the retirement home, this resident wanted to bring down her own meat and have us cook it in the kitchen. And it's like, that's a violation of health code. And we kept telling her,
Sounds like a violation of health
I was
code.
like, hey, I'm really sorry, but we can't like put your food in here. She starts getting mad at me. I'm just like, this isn't my rule. Like, we really just can't do this. And she's
Like the FDA probably made that rule.
exactly like, I'm just like, I'm sorry. Like, we really can't do this. And it's just,
Like, that's probably the law.
I like, if there's anything else I can do for you, but we really can't do it, and it's just in that situation you do everything you can, but sometimes it's just
Right. You got to offer alternatives and we don't have this, but what if I do this for you? Or what if I do that for you? That's the best way to approach that. But I mean, there's only so much you can do if somebody's going to be unreasonable.
I think if
They're
you
just going to leave unhappy.
I think if you show compassion and actually listen to them and like, hey, I understand, like, you're mad, we don't have your shoes, But look, we can maybe order them from a different store. You give them solutions and you let him know that you really are sorry. But there's no, at this, I'm not gonna let you buy any pair of shoes you want. Like,
for whatever price. That's insane.
what logic is that? Oh, you sold all the Honda Civics. Let me get this Lambo for the same price.
Right.
Come on, man. What are some funny stories? I imagine that people try to steal from the mall and everything. What are some stories you got?
All right, I got a good one. All right. Had to think. It's happened a couple of times.
Okay.
So I used to work at this store over in Illinois. It's closed now. They're not open anymore. But
For good?
I worked for
For good?
Yeah. It's been closed for a couple years now.
Oh.
They haven't been open for a while. So I'm working one day and I have this guy. He's my boss at the time, and we ended up. I'm a good friend with the guy. He's a good dude. So we're working that day, and I'm up in the front of the store helping somebody with shoes or something. And there's this dude on our big hat wall. This store has a massive hat wall, so it's he's over there shopping the hats. He's picking stuff up. He's messing with stuff. And my boss at the time sees him stick a hat in his jacket. He does. He just waits a second. He's like, "All right, let's see what he does." Because sometimes people put they realize halfway through and they put the shit back.
That they're being watched?
Yeah. And so this guy does not do that. So he goes for another hat. And he puts another hat in his jacket. At this point, it's pretty obvious. Like, he's not a good thief. Like, you're already you're bad at this. You shouldn't be doing it. My boss walks over and he's like, "We need those hats back." Like, what are you talking about? Like, all right, bro. At this point, I've already walked around, so like I'm on the other side of him, and so I get to witness the full length of this conversation. And he goes, "All right, man, you fucking caught me." He pulls the hats out of his jacket and he throws them on the floor. And he turns to walk away. And the guy goes, "No, pick them up, put them back where you got them." And it's just hilarious to me. The whole interaction was hilarious to me because he just blatantly as day put these hats in his jacket. And was like, "What are you talking about?"
So he was not a good thief.
No, he's horrible.
Was the store busy at least?
No, there's like 3 people in there.
How you gonna try to steal when everybody can see you? You know we can see
People
you.
that steal aren't smart.
So like, has anyone ever done that prank where they try the shoes on, they start running?
Not to me personally. I've seen it happen, and I've seen people like freak out. I don't think that's funny. Like,
No, it's definitely not funny.
Like,
it's definitely not.
As the employee, I'd be like halfway ready to I'm probably like sprinting after you at this point as you're coming back.
It's not funny, but it's like
It's kind of funny when it happens to somebody else. Like if I see the video or something, it's funny. But if I'm like working the floor and I see that shit, I'm immediately like, "Oh shit!" Like,
did people really do that though?
I've never had it happen, but I've heard plenty of stories. So
They leave the old shoes. They take the old shoes with them. They take the old shoes with them.
sometimes I have seen like I came back and like we had at a store I worked at when I was part-time. It was the manager and the assistant were working, and something happened to where he was helping 2 people at once, and the other person wasn't on the floor or something like that. And some guy tried on some shoes, and he put his old shoes in the box, and he walked out because the dude was too busy. Like we watched the footage of it, and I'm like, "Damn,
It's kind of slick.
kind of." I was like, "I bet you were really disappointed when you opened that box up and you saw them nasty ass shoes in there."
Do you think that guy was a thief, or you think he just took advantage of the opportunity?
I think that guy was a thief. He was pretty. I watched the footage. He was slick with it. It was not his first time.
Okay. Maybe he was just like, "Hey, it's the time."
I guess it could have been. It could have been. If so, he played it off really well. It looked like he knew what he was doing.
How do you feel about malls? Do you think like malls are going to stay open? Or do you think that they're pretty dying?
I think they're gonna stay open, man. I think people like going to the mall.
What?
At the end of the day, I think people enjoy going out and going shopping.
Yeah, of course, but you've been in the malls for 6 years, is it?
7.
7. Is the amount of foot traffic dying down?
Yes. Yeah, it's less, but I am not worried about it because while we're seeing less people, we're actually still selling more stuff.
Hey,
Whether it be from online orders, I don't know. Like, because in the store, if we don't have product, we order it, so we get credit for that sale.
okay, I was going to ask you that. So if someone just orders it from the website,
We don't.
but if
If
they come
order it from
in,
my store, I get credit. They come in and I order it.
So if I want any shoe, I can technically come to your store.
Not any shoe, right? Because there's Jordan releases that are limited and there's exclusives and stuff like that. But for the most part, if you see it on the wall and I don't have that shoe in stock, I can see if we can have that shipped to you.
So the shoe has to be in the store.
Not necessarily. If you saw it on our website, I can check. It's just not all shoes are going to be available because there's limited product and stuff like that. But for a majority, like most general release shoes, yeah, you can order it if we don't have it.
But I can just order on the website too.
Sure, you could, but you won't get the customer service.
Not gonna get the customer.
Some people like that. Some people like to go and have something brought to them and shown to them, and then they buy it. So, reason you don't buy a car online.
Carvana.
Some people feel that way. Yeah, it's not going to take off like that though.
I know a couple
Are
people got their
dealerships
cars
dying?
from that. I don't know. I don't think so.
I doubt it.
Some people don't like the salesman. Some people don't like the pushy salesman.
Some people hate salesmen.
There's the meme where you walk in the shoe store and hey, big man, what size you need? Do you push that kind of like? What?
That's not me. That is funny though.
Is that you?
No, man. If somebody picks up a shoe, hey, you need a size in that, bro? No, I'm good. All right, take your time. Hey, what size you need?
What's the initial value prop to these people looking at shoes? You just like, hey, how can I help you? Do you need anything or?
We are big on we don't want it to feel generic and repeated. So there's no script. There's no like say this every time. We don't do that. Somebody comes in, take a look at them. You don't make judgments, but this guy's wearing a Cardinal shirt. Hey, what's up, man? You see the game yesterday? Yachty went deep.
So you're really selling to these people.
You really are selling to these people. You are creating a connection with these people.
But it seems like, I guess if they're in the store, they're interested in shoes.
Right? Why'd you come in if you don't want a shoe?
There we go.
The shoe store. You know what I mean? That's the other thing is your product really sells itself sometimes, right? For the majority part, like, yeah, you got people that are just looking, whatever. People come to your store because they want your product.
See, that's I'm in sales. And the thing is when people are interested, it's a much easier sale.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
When people are kind of on the fence about it, you get those objections, and sometimes you can convince them to buy something.
Those are the ones that feel good.
Exactly. But
those are the sales that are worth it.
But if I say, like, you're in the shoe store, obviously, you pick up a couple shoes, it's obvious you want some shoes. And it's really just up to me to close the deal.
Facts. That's right.
Huh. But like you said, them sales you got to work for, ain't nothing better than it.
Ain't nothing better than a yes after a sales pitch. All right, I'll take it. All right, throw that on there. That feel good.
Right. Do you like selling?
Yeah, it's probably the most fun part of the job. I don't get to do too much of it now, but it was probably the most fun part of the job.
I mean, like, as we were saying, it seems kind of like hard to sell shoes to someone. Like when people clearly are on the fence about buying shoes, how do you get them over that hump to say, yeah, I'm gonna get these shoes?
I think a big part of it is knowing what you're selling. Product knowledge, that's huge. You got to know what you're telling them about. Like, they're going to know if you're just making stuff up as you go for the most part. Like, I mean, you can get by without knowing, which retro came out when, whatever. But if a guy comes in looking for running shoes and you show this dude a pair of basketball shoes, he's going to know that you have no idea what you're doing. So you probably need to know. Like, I think that's a big part of sales is knowing the product. You got to learn the product.
That's huge. That's huge because if they have questions and you can answer those questions and sound like you know what you're talking about.
So much easier to get a sale if you know the answers. If you have to ask somebody else or if you make something up, they're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to work with you that much anymore.
Mm-hmm. One thing that a couple of our we're gonna keep talking. One thing that a couple of our clients have said that is that something that's very important to them is like showing that you're human.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know that. I mean, that's why we don't want it to feel generic or something like that. We don't want the same greeting when people come into the door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be personable. You want like because of like the fact that there's competitors for one. There's 3 other stores that you can go get what I'm offering you, but I'm probably going to treat you. I'm going to try to treat you better than those other 3 stores.
Right, right.
So you come to me.
Mhm.
Or you have the people that are like, yo, I don't like going to the mall. I'd get all my stuff online. I just couldn't order it, so I'm here. Those people would rather deal with you too because you don't sound like a generic robot that works at the mall.
Right. You just gotta differentiate yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what separates one shoe store from the other? Because I'm to tell you right now, 90% of the time, it's not product. A lot of the stores have the same thing. A lot of the stores have the same thing. So you have to find something that makes people want to come to you.
Hey, thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode. The reason it ended so abruptly is that I was working with a previous camera that would tend to overheat at about 29 minutes. So we kind of just called it quits after the second shoot. So thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And I want to let you know I do have big things coming. Since then, I've got a 4K camera, got a new laptop, I got boom stands for my microphones, and I'm getting a studio at the end of July. And I also have a very special episode with the artist Darius Gray coming out soon. He's got the EP coming, Dark Summer, and it's great. So keep tuning in, and I promise I got some more special content for you guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, peace.